Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's interview at the South African Strings Convention 2020. I have with me Odile Burden, who is the Masidlale Education Manager of the Cape Philharmonic Orchestra. Odile is a Cape Town-born violinist and pedagogue, and is currently the manager of the Masidlale music program at the Cape Philharmonic Orchestra. She's an avid orchestral and chamber musician and has performed locally and internationally. She's also been to Norway as a teaching assistant, and her strong belief for the importance of access to high-quality music education to all children across South Africa has led her to her current position at the Masidlale music program. Odile, welcome, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Eriel. I'm really excited to sit down with you today.
Cool. So please start off by sharing the background and aims of Masidlale with us.
Yeah, so the Masidlale music program is an initiative of the Cape Town Philharmonic Orchestra. We have quite a few youth development programs, but Masidlale specifically deals with access to music education at a grassroots level. So we have partnerships with 7 schools, and these schools are in a range of areas of the surrounding townships of Cape Town, and then extending all the way through Mamre, Atlantis, and Pella out on the west coast. And what started out in 2009 as a solely string program, violins, has now extended to also include woodwind and brass teaching, which is, I know that we're at a string convention, but it's really very exciting for us to be able to expand that way. So we offer music tuition, we offer theory, we offer ensemble, and we are privileged enough to be able to offer all of these activities plus instruments and resources, music, theory books, free of charge.
Amazing. Tell me, how was the decision made to expand from the string program, and share with us some of the background to these partnerships that you have with these schools?
So my predecessors had a lot to do with ensuring the different partnerships that we have with the schools. We also have someone on board called Carol Mduma, who's our community arts worker, who is one of the pillars of our program. Initially, her ties with our program started when her son became one of our students, one of our violin students. And she saw the work that we did and saw, how it tied in with her vision for the youth of Khayelitsha, and approached us and said, listen, I really believe in what you do. I would like to join your team and see how I can help. And she has been instrumental in securing additional partnerships with principals at schools in her immediate area. And further on that, she then became our sort of liaison between ourselves and the school. She's our on-the-ground person. And without her, we would crumble to the ground, because she kind of just makes sure that everything is happening the way that it should be happening, on time, on schedule, making sure that everybody knows what's happening. And then to just talk about a little bit about how we expanded from only strings to include woodwind and brass tuition. This is down to Ashley Lowskitter, who is my colleague, also a manager of Masidlale. He's a trombonist, and he lives out in Mamre. And yeah, it's just through his background as a brass player that we then expanded and started a satellite out in Mamre, which was violin, but then also included recorder, and then went on to include brass, which is his passion. So that's a little bit how we expanded that way.
Amazing. So it sounds like really this organization is great at building and maintaining and initiating relationships, and it's really through these community, what I would like to call community champions, that really take this cause out to different people's communities and their own respective children, and continuing to build the vision, continuing to build dreams. So speak to us about your journey as a youngster from the CPO Youth Development Project and culminating in employment and projects as adults.
Yeah, my road with CPO has been a long one. Starting back when the orchestra was called the Cape Town Symphony Orchestra, I believe. I used to attend, together with many of my peers, used to attend workshops and camps held by the old Cape Town Symphony Orchestra. And when the now Cape Philharmonic or Cape Town Philharmonic Orchestra launched their youth orchestra, I think that was in 2003. I was able to audition, and I was one of the founding members of the orchestra. And eventually I worked my way up and became concertmaster of the orchestra, which was an exciting time. Through that experience, I then was able to become an ad hoc violinist for the professional orchestra, and gained, experience playing in a professional orchestra that way. And then by that time I was studying at university. I'd gone to Norway to study violin pedagogy, and when I returned, before I returned, I was able to teach part-time in the Masidlale program and get to know the program. For my master's degree, the entire youth development program of the Cape Town Philharmonic Orchestra was the subject of my thesis study. And on my return from Norway, I was able to come on board onto the team as a permanent employee. So it's been a long road, and I'm very, very excited and privileged to be where I am today with the company.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Odile. Share with us how many students are in your program, and what are some of the challenges and maybe some of the success stories that Masidlale has gone through?
So we have just under 100 students in our Masidlale program. So Masidlale is, we kind of think of it as a pyramid for the entire youth development program. And Masidlale is at the bottom of the pyramid, meaning that we deal with access and recruiting students, and going into areas where music education is really very unheard of. We have only primary school students in our program. And from there, we also have the Music Academy, and we are really excited that we're now at the stage where our Masidlale students are graduating from Masidlale in grade 7 onto the academy in grade 8, where they're getting more specialized tuition, where they have access to the junior and intermediate string ensembles, which will then eventually lead to getting into the youth orchestra. So we're not quite in the youth orchestra yet, but watch this space. In the years to come, we'll have kids from Masidlale in the youth orchestra, which is a very, very exciting prospect for us. And I think our success stories are every single kid that manages to go from Masidlale into the music academy and thrive. Last year we had our first subject music matric pupil from Masidlale.
Wow.
Yeah, pass his music subject, and wow, that was a huge success. That was a very big moment for us.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So this subject is also extremely close to my heart personally, especially I think in this particular era now of such great focus on maths and science and tech, and now virtual reality, AI. How does music and learning a musical instrument stay relevant and stay important in these children's lives?
Wow, that's a good question. You know, all of those subjects are incredibly important, um, but the inclusion of creative education, um, I truly believe is the key to so many more successes. And yeah, I with as you know, the and what a music education can give to a child in terms of cognitive ability, cognitive skills, problem solving skills, um, besides the ability to be able to think outside the box, think creatively, find creative solutions for problems. Um, Music is, you know, on the one hand, we are teaching, yes, we are teaching violin, or we are teaching how to play an instrument, we are teaching the theory and how to be a musician. But on the other hand, using music as a vehicle to teach all of these other skills, to teach how to listen to the person standing next to you in a classroom, uh, to be able to match what they're playing, um, communication, all of these skills that we are using music as the vehicle to, you know, teach our students.
Thank you. So if you know, when the community champions, for example, approach a school, and the sort of classic example of, you know, wanting to send a child to after school soccer practice versus coming to a music program, why music? Why, you know, spending hours alone or with peers practicing other, you know, rather than having fun on a soccer field when sports also teaches, I wouldn't say similar, but parallel skills of communication, teamwork. So why music? Maybe you share a bit about your personal philosophy.
Yeah.
Why music? Why youth development through music?
Why youth development through music? Oh, that's a great question. I like this one. I think that in our country and in the communities where our program exists, we have such a rich culture of music making. Not only, you know, in when we're talking about our Mozart and, you know, the sort of Western approach to music making, but also when it comes to music making in our kids' immediate community. So whether that comes in the form of singing in a church choir, singing at school. I know that every school meeting that I've attended in the township-based schools are all started with a prayer that's sung. So music is just so integrated into the lives of our kids. If you're thinking about our kids out in Mamre, Pella, where many of the children come from a Moravian background, brass band culture, music is just so interwoven. And I think it's just the perfect tool to be able to use something that comes naturally to our kids, to the communities, to be able to teach skills, teach life skills, teach problem solving ability. Yeah, I think that that's really wonderful.
Thank you. I love this aspect when you just mentioned that music is so integrated and so interwoven. So looking towards the present and the future, please share with us some of the challenges that maybe lockdown has brought, and sort of as we are pivoting post lockdown and sort of coexisting with this virus that's going to be around for a while. Yeah. What are some of the plans have and the pipelines, and just sort of your vision for the future of this program?
Yeah. 2020, we did not see this kind of year coming. When we heard the news in March that we would have to go into lockdown and we'd have to shut everything down for, I mean, at that stage, it was only going to be 3 weeks. We then made the decision to, in some cases, take instruments back from kids who had just started, who had just entered the program. For the safety of the instruments, we felt that that would be the best decision. For the rest of our students, at that point, it was kind of like, okay, we're not sure where this is going, but we'll see. And then when we realized that things would be a little bit more permanent, we started thinking. And at that stage, many other music teachers and education had started going online. And that for us was a challenge, because in our case, many of our students don't have access to a stable internet connection, or even a phone that has, WhatsApp capability or internet. So that was a big stumbling block for us. Eventually, we did manage to make contact with as many students as we could, and then have lessons, in most cases via WhatsApp video. In some cases, we had to go back and forth with kind of voice note lessons in order to carry on in even just the smallest form. Now we are at the end of our third week of in-person lessons. Finally.
Oh wow, that's exciting.
Finally. And yeah, and in some cases, and what I must admit was really fantastic was having, because our lessons happen at a time when the parents aren't able to attend lessons because parents are working. So having the parents, or being in the situation, sort of brought the parents a little bit closer into the classroom, into the violin classroom, which was really very exciting to get more parental involvement. So despite the challenges, that was one really good upside. What we've also noticed was one of my colleagues was saying that when she fetches her son from school, she's noticed that the kids they don't run out of school with reckless abandon anymore. Everyone's really quiet and reserved and nervous because of everything that's happening. And what we realized at that point was that we were in the position to have violin lessons not just be violin lessons, but be something for kids to experience joy outside of the scary, unknown world that we're finding ourselves in. So yeah, despite the internet challenges, and then you have string snapping and we couldn't do anything about it, and out of tune instruments, and despite all of those challenges, we found an opportunity to bring joy in our students and the lives of our families. Moving forward, I mean, our progress this year with our students has been slower than we envisioned and slower than we wanted it to be. So we are in the process of evaluating, where are we now, where did we want to be, and how can we move forward and try to get the best out of our students with the different circumstances that we had this year.
Thank you. And I think it's a very beautiful and poignant sort of arrival point and reflection point. You spoke about the parents' presence, and we know with young children how important the support is at home, outside of the classroom.
Absolutely.
And for me, it's wonderful to hear about this joy that has come out, or that still is coming out, and this safe space for our students to really feel that, you know, there is a safe place to still be creative, to be expressive, and maybe a place of pause to be able to take in and figure out sort of what's happening out there beyond the classroom. And I think, you know, this progress being slow, I think sort of the world at large, not just us in South Africa, we are reevaluating what does progress mean, and sort of at what cost, and to what end, and by what means. So I am personally very encouraged and enthused to hear about this wonderful turn of events, and, you know, for the betterment of the students and their families. So maybe to round up, if you could share with us one positive thing that has kept you going, as a leader of this project of Masidlale. What has kept you going, and what is going to keep you going, and to continue serving and encouraging the students that is part of this community?
Yeah, I think what has kept me going ties very much into my my previous point about our music lessons being a place of joy. And what really inspires me is how, despite so many challenges and unknowns and difficult situations that our children find themselves in, they have continued to be motivated. They have continued to work and find solutions to problems. You know, even with a snapped string that we weren't able to do anything about, our kids have continued to be completely undeterred by these issues. So I take inspiration from these little kids that have just continued to try their best to thrive in very, very difficult situation.
Thank you very much, Odile, for sharing your thoughts and insights and experiences with us. I'm sure our audience is greatly inspired. And long may the joy continue. Thank you so much for all your work and Masidlale output and outreach into the Cape Town community and beyond. Take good care. Thank you very much.
Ciao. Bye-bye.